aura that was around the earth for that returning love energy, right? Then the earth was vibrating at the heart chakra. When we got done with that class, the next day it was violet, crown chakra.
Yep.
Right? So we hit the nail on the head because when you go from the heart chakra straight to the crown chakra, that's what you call the heart link to the heavens.
Right.
So then we got the sun got a big old butterfly symbol in it, looked like a reverse Batman symbol.
Yep.
Right? Butterfly is the symbol for transformation. So they telling us that there's a transformation in progress based off the recent solar activity. Remember, we was getting blasted by solar storms last week, and shooting resin been off the chain. And this is why we seeing these color shifts in the Aureole Borealis. If I can pronounce it correctly, I always butcher it. But the lights, the northern lights, was being seen in southern states in the United States, which is rare. Which means it's a large mass coronal interference in the Van Allen belt, right? And it's the gamma rays that turn it green, right? And then it's the ultra, I think it's called ultra gamma rays that goes into your purples and reds, right? But we talking now, we not root chakra, we heart chakra, crown chakra. So we got a lot of stuff going on, and now we got to unpack what is it telling us. Because the whole thing is about, we see these stellar events, solar events, we see the Schumann resonance events, we see this political stuff playing out, and you know they always call a new field of study the rabbit hole.
Yep.
And our first introduction to the rabbit hole in most people's childhood is Alice in Wonderland.
That's a fact. Matter of fact, I'm going to put up for you.
So Alice sat on the mushroom.
That's a fact.
Right? When she seen the white rabbit, she took her down into the rabbit hole, which was her adventures of Alice in Wonderland. Wonderland is another way of saying your subconscious realm.
That's a fact.
Because the psilocybin opens up the subconscious realm so that you can consciously process it. That's why they call it hallucinations.
And then, you know, not only that, you know, the rabbit in itself is also a representation. When you get into the esoterics, the rabbit hole can be associated with Ophiuchus. So that's when you get into, you know, the number 67. They talk about the number 67 is pretty much the most intrinsic definition all throughout the year of 2025, because it's the resurrection of the 13. So when you go down the rabbit hole, you're actually connected to yourself to the womb of creation, which is also associated with Ophiuchus, like I said, because I think Ophiuchus is in between November 29th into December 17th. So there's a resurrection and a rebirth energy here on the planet, and they telling you within the political infrastructure, because you ever seen that video when Donald Trump, he kept on talking about he's building the ark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the ark in itself is also a representation of the global turning point that's connected to Charlie Kirk, which is the fall of the church. So the royal ark in itself is a representation of a resurrection process, because it coincides with the 47 problem of Euclid. So the 47 in the ark coincides with Noah, right? So Noah, when you break down the word from the etymological standpoint in ancient Hebrew, it means the mind. Noah means mind, and then you got the arcs or the angels of light, the angles of light coming down to the planet that hits the mind. So it's actually talking about a form of mind science technology when you get into the 47. And matter of fact, I'm gonna pull this up for you because I remember we was on the phone the other day, and I was telling you about the movie Sneakers. This movie came out, I think it was in 1984, that also coincides with the timeline with Donald Trump, with Donnie Darko talking about the bunny, because in the movie, not the movie, but the book, Baron Trump's Adventure, he was stuck in a fixed position reality in 1984 when this movie came out. And then you see it got XRP when I was doing my independent research. And then it's at the security code, you see the 47 right here. That also coincides with the Royal Ark of Freemasonry, that also coincides with the global turning point. And then you also got to watch the damn movie. There's a reason why they put this movie back on Netflix, Ready Player One, because the inception of the destruction that took place when you're talking about the Great Purification, it started in the year of 2027. That's when the world ended in the movie. But it was certain dates they had from November. I think it was from November 17th to the 29th. It was something that took place within the movie that also coincides with the timeline that we're in right now. So that's why I keep telling people the movies is also acclimated to the timeline, because it's actually it's telling an esoteric story. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of stuff to look at when it comes to that.
When you look at the position of Hollywood and DC on opposite sides of the land, it becomes critical to the understanding of what a political satire is.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us don't know that all they're doing in DC is political satire.
That's
right.
Fact.
That's why you see stuff like this.
Yep. This is the guy. Yep.
Yeah. So this is telling you about the satire, because if you look here, you see Elon Musk is dressed like what?
A bunny rabbit.
A jester.
Yep.
He dressed like a magician, a jester, a court entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But then you see the molecular symbol for the bunny up there that comes from the adrenochrome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, the rabbit out the hat mean exposing the magic trick.
Facts. Babylonian blood magic.
Yep. So when they pull the rabbit out the hat, they saying this is the magic trick. So they're showing you the trick, the deception.
And the deception is in itself is connected to, the de facto corporation in itself, because all the corporations, as what I call the middleman, which is the devil, which is a form of instant gratification, they use it as a mechanism, like we talked about last year when we broke down the blood magic. Mm-hmm. So blood magic coincides with the rabbit. So when you follow the rabbit, you're going to follow the corporations that actually extracts the energy from, humanity, as far as like what we call the loosh, which is a form of human data. But that's the most intrinsic resource on the planet is human data. That's what the archons have to feed on. So that's why I was, I had this theory, you already know about the whole 1934 when they created Social Security and things of that nature, and they created the numbers and the community uniform security and stuff. When it comes to that, that's when, they turned us into humanoid real estate. So it was actually one of those things where the corporation in itself is being used as a catalyst to cause the reset by eliminating humanity, because in order to reset the debt, you have to eradicate, about 7.7 billion people. That coincides with the Georgia Guidestones when they said they want to maintain humanity at 500 million, even those, they got destroyed also.
Yeah, that was because their plan failed.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing that we got to do to show that they plan failed is get rid of the stones. You didn't win, so you can't say what we gonna do on Earth because you lost.
Facts. Yep.
Right. So another thing about that rabbit and that blood magic, right? Remember, the rabbit is the symbol for fertility.
Yep.
Tied to Ishtar.
Mm-hmm.
Right. One of the symbols for Ishtar is she have a statue and she's covered in mammary glands all the way down to her ankles. Right. So that's the mother that feeds the nations.
Okay.
It's a representation of a sacerdotal seat. The irony of it is you brought up 67. That's Empress Redbird's birth year.
Oh wow! And she got the allodial title to the land, right?
Right, but that's their surrender. The loyal title don't mean nothing to us. It means something to them.
Right, because we don't paper.
Right. So in order for them to acknowledge her blood right, they got to give her the paperwork. They letting them know that we know who you is. Let us finish cleaning this up, and we gonna make sure everybody else know who you is too. But we first have to give you this recognition so you will know that your work was being done.
So what does that kind of fall in line with the whole 1776 thing? Because they came out with the last circulation of the penny that also coincides with Philadelphia, because that's where they stopped it at after 232 years, which is a anagram for 322, which is the what that skull and bones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So one of the things about 1776, that's the Boston Massacre. Right? That's when they harvested the blood of Crispus Attucks. When they got to do their conjure work on it in order to turn it into ink. When they turn it into the ink, it becomes self-actualizing. They call it the first blood of the righteous in a conflict. They always have to let you know who the first blood of the righteous, or the person that was the rightful heir whose blood was used for the conjure, has to be always kept in the forefront. So they gave us this fanciful story about some half African that who set it off in the American Revolution with the Boston Massacre. And if you really think about it, this is why the Boston wear red socks, because they was walking through the massacre, the blood of the massacre.
Wow. And so is that part of the Red Shoe Club and the Pilgrim Society?
So the Red Shoe Club comes from Europe, from Spain.
Okay.
And the shoes that was originally being made, that was dyed red, was made out of human skin. And that's what made the leather for the red shoe so valuable. The red bottom shoe is a different shoe. It represents people who walked across the bloody floor.
Wow, okay.
Right? So they walk across the bloody floor, they leave a red footprint, which is a bloody footprint. Only it's not a footprint, it's a handprint. And it's only one place to find it. On the indigenous rebellion, where they put the red paint across their mouth because of the colonizers that was stealing the women in order to impregnate them to infiltrate bloodlines. So that's what you see when you see those girls, those native girls, right, with the red hand on their face. That's what they talking about. They're talking about the kidnapping of the native women. Those women were brought over here as Huns, but when they got over here and was re-educated, they became Native Americans.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that kind of reminds me of that volleyball symbol when you're talking about what took place with the little people in DC. And they had one of the symbols was of it looks like a hand. Looked like a hand that was covered in blood, and they put it over a soccer ball or a volleyball. And I think it was
a fragile drip.
Yeah.
That's a fragile drip. That comes from Tom Hanks in Lost, I think was the name of the movie.
Yep.
Right, and you see Ellen DeGeneres wearing it on her hoodie, and some people wearing it dressed as that in like award shows, dressed up like fragile drip.
Yeah, they do all that. It's like transgressive. It's like high-end fashion, but they use like biological fluids and biological parts of things.
It's actually called horror fashion.
Right.
If you look up horror fashion, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a whole genre. But in this case, the secret society is telling on somebody. Without telling the general public that they telling on somebody, they just the imagery pops up.
That's a fact.
We got to be savvy enough to say, what is these people telling us with this fragile drip handprint, bloody handprint? So most people don't know what frazzle drip is. They don't know about the pedestal files and the insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They only concerned about this dude right here. He was a Mossad CIA asset.
That's a fact.
He replaced somebody who passed away from old age. The only reason why we know that is because when they went through the videos on Epstein Island, they go all the way back to the 30s on the island. So who was in Hollywood in the 30s that you can go back and you can track it? All the ones that didn't want to play ball end up getting blackballed out of the industry.
That's a fact. And you know another thing that's crazy about this? 2 videos ago, and this is just based on my independent research and my own, conspiracy theories or whatever. Just like I tell people all the time, in order to beat the Matrix, you got to go within the Matrix in order to get out. That's when you go down the rabbit hole. But the rabbit hole in itself is also being embedded inside of the simulation so much to the point where you're able to extract the information. So what I'm saying is that, within the video game, I said 2 videos ago, I said that there is going to be a link and there's going to be an emulation of what took place on Epstein Island, and they're putting it inside the video game of Grand Theft Auto. And there's going to be a mission in the game where it's going to show you the true link, and it's going to show you the actual list of what took place. And it's supposed to be some hackers that's putting the link inside this video game that's supposed to be coming out in November 19th of 2026. But they pushed it back the day after I said that they're going to put the link in the game, and they pushed it back from the spring of 2026 to the November, literally the next day. So it's kind of because you play video games, Rod?
No.
Now this is important because in the last Grand Theft Auto, they show you the statue. I think it's Grand Theft Auto 4 or 5. The Statue of Liberty is actually Hillary Clinton. And then when you go inside, it shows like the heart beating or whatever, which is also a representation of a corporate infrastructure that placated on humanity, based in blood magic and things of that nature. So it shows you that. So it seems like there's a mockery that's taking place within the political apparatus when you're talking about the new republic that's coming from the Trump administration. It seems like they're working with, a lot of these video game videographers, and they put a lot of the information inside there. So I've been looking into some of that stuff because there's a mission in the game that actually it shows you the emulation of Epstein Island.
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff they put it in various different places.
Mm-hmm.
By me not being a gamer, I won't see a lot of what they put in the games.
Right.
But I used to watch a lot of movies growing up, so a lot of the stuff I see now was in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You brought up the year 1984. You remember where you brought it up?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up for you right now, Rod. I got you. Where is it at? Did I put it in here? I thought I did. I can bring it up, but I know that it's actually talking about a totalitarian order in that movie.
Okay, so the year 1984 is what you were talking about earlier in the show.
Yeah.
Okay, now the year 1984 also is where George Orwell's book was designated as 1984.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then George Orwell's book, his teacher was Aldous Huxley,
mm-hmm.
who wrote A Brave New World. Right? And one of his socialites, Aldous Huxley's socialites, who also was good friends later on with George Orwell, name was Ayn Rand, and she wrote the Atlas Shrugged.
Mm.
Right? Now, there's also 1984, which is Rex 84, Readiness Exercise, 1984. So it's all connecting to a time frame.
Yep.
Right? So when you go back and look what was going on in 84, Reaganomics.
Yep.
Reaganomics was going on in 84, and Project Hope where they created Focus Hope to give government stored food to the public that was having food problems.
Mm-hmm.
Ronald Reagan took office. He said that he had no idea of the level of hungry people it was in America when they got all this food that they had in storage to feed the American people.
Mm.
They took a percentage of it out because it's primarily for the military use, but it's an excessive surplus enough to feed the American public for up to a year before it starts to run low. It's 300 and something million people, almost 400 million people in America. So they got enough food in reserves, canned and stored, air sealed and packed tight, waiting for distribution. Whose job is it going to be when the grocery stores close down to distribute the food rations to the public?
Shit, it should be the church. Shit.
Church is going to be gone.
I know, but shit, they're supposed to be a storehouse.
So in the time of crisis, it activates a joint committee of National Guard, FEMA, and several other government agencies to mobilize the National Guard's troops to set up warehouses to distribute the food to the people of the certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why you got Michigan National Guard. People in Detroit don't know it, but they sitting right there waiting to be deployed. They already here.
Mm.
Chicago know they there. They've been filming them coming in. Memphis know they there. DC know they there. Philly know they there. Right? LA know they there. San Diego know they there. San Francisco know they there. Right? So most of the people is unaware that if they can maintain their cool in this crisis that they finna manufacture, we not supposed to give it no thought. Let the government shut down. Fuck the government. That's how we gotta see it.
Mm-hmm.
Close it down. Shut it down. Let's see what you gonna do next. Because if we don't put a challenge to them to produce, they gonna keep on running games on us. Cyclic games.
Mm-hmm.
They run them in a loop.
Yep. And I'm glad you brought up the loop because that coincides with my 589 research when you're talking about the bearable God, because it represents the transmutation process of deviate from the corporate legal fiction by going back into natural law, which is common law for the people. So that's why I was saying, by way of the law of reciprocity, everything has to come full circle, which is 360 degrees of the closing of the age that was connected to the maritime law. So that's why I said we're in a time of rebuilding right now, because everything within their infrastructure has to collapse, whether if it's a synthetic reset or if it's something that's, being extracted from the cosmos and Mother Nature. So, right. And I showed you some of this right here the other day. I think it was the top one, because the bearable God is supposed to be playing Donald Trump. So it's really just showing you, it's really just kind of like based on the timeline. It's showing you the.
Is that supposed to be a bear?
Yep, it's a bear. Yep, it's the bearable God.
That's the symbol for Cali too.
Oh, for California. Yeah,
California symbol is a bear, and it's on the tip of his nose is a 5-point star.
Wow. I'm just now peeping game off that. See, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, if you go pull the California flag up and see it, it's right there on the flag.
Let me see if I can pull it up. Cause my computer, I need to get me a different computer. My shit's slow. Hold on, let me see.
Now, while you pulling it up, most of us don't know that's what you call an open public contract between 5 tribes.
Okay.
The symbol that they all have in common is the bear totem. We used to call them the bear clans.
Facts.
Then they gave us something called Bornstein Bears. 3 little bears. All it is to keep the bear totem active in the mind of the people so that the bear clan can reclaim their birthright.
Man, I'm glad you brought that up, because check this out, right? Because I got this in here too. Because I know Russia They just been found. Where is it at? Yeah, here we go. Russia is also they represent the bear as well when you get into like the metaphysics of the Bible or whatever. But it talks about the Russian military spy ship, like so that coincides with the movie Red Dawn. Like, remember we broke that shit down too.
Yeah, but see, you gotta know where this Russian ship at. Remember the Russian ship that went to Cuba about 2 years ago? They was dropping off prisoners to Gitmo. Everybody keep thinking that this is only America that's cleaning up the land. It's going on all over the world.
That's a fact. Is this it right here, Rod?
It's the that's the bear.
Okay.
Now, if you look up, you see the 5-point star.
Yeah.
Because of the 5 tribes. Now, the reason why they use the 5-point star, the point being each tribe is they all matriarchal tribes.
Mm-hmm.
The bear is the chief being instructed by the women, the 5 matriarchal tribes. They got chiefs. Each tribe got a chief, and then they get together. The one who qualified to lead whatever they doing as a collective is the chief that takes the lead. Right. And that's why you see guys walking on the green grass. Cali is desert.
That's a fact. Yep. People ain't gonna catch it.
That's because they represent law land. Land law, not admiralty law. The only reason why they came up with a flag is because some people came from Europe with the law of the flag. So we went from totem poles and wampum belts to flying flags too.
I'm trying to get back to the bear. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, it shows you within the art. I keep telling people, man, like the algorithm is telling you every time. They tell you in every movie. They tell you in every magazine, like what time it is, and motherfuckers just think it's entertainment. And I know you've seen or heard about this.
Yeah. This is most likely one of those land masses that's emerging from under the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even when I get into my own independent research in itself, and it's actually connected to the ancient, energy grid system, which is what we call the tectonic cycle. So you're going to get a lot of, sedimentary rock formation. And then they were saying that, the people that live within that geographical area of Zealandia, it was the Melanesian people, and it was also the people that was connected to Lemuria, which is also connected to the Lost Continent of Mu. I got that book, Lost Continent of Mu. So it actually talks about New Zealand within that publication. It doesn't talk about it in the article too much, but it also talks about New Zealand and how they were.
So pull up a map of the South Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
You're going to notice that at one time it was a land bridge from the South Pacific to Hawaii.
All right, South Pacific Ocean. Everybody put them rice bowls in the chat in them apes in there. All right. So everybody bless the elder, man, because he be dropping some knowledge, some stuff that we've never heard before. But all right, here we go.
All right, let's zoom in on this map on the left side where you see Australia.
You said zoom in?
Yeah.
It only let me go so far. It ain't let me.
Okay, if you look right there, you see Indonesia.
Right.
All right, now Hawaii is on there, but you can't see it. It's to the left of Indonesia. I mean, to the right of Indonesia in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if you look where these islands, if you pay attention, the islands have a pattern. That was a land bridge. It was a land bridge, and then it left all. It used to lead all the way up into the Southern Asia, Southeast Asia, right around by Japan and Korea and all that stuff. Now, if you go to the ocean pictures, giant city under the ocean of Japan, it'll show you a city with giant steps. Because that was one of the casualties in the wars in the Anunnaki wars. They sunk this city. There was one of Inky's major cities for the Anunnaki, especially the ones that was huge.
You know what that sounds like? You ever watched the movie Ewok Adventures? It came out in the 1970s, like 79, 78.
If I came out back then, I probably watched it, but I just probably haven't seen it in so long.
Yeah, it shows you how they had the big steps like you was talking about, and they had these big Nephilim beasts, and they had the indigenous tribes, and they had little bears, they had the little Ewoks, but if you really look at the garments of the Ewoks, they were wearing indigenous attire. They had the feathers and everything, but they was using a lot of the trees that went up into it that basically pierced the firmament. They use the trees as a mechanism to, to take down those big giants like you were talking about in those wooded areas. So there's a lot of truth to that when it comes to the ontological artifacts.
Yeah. And they said when this was the land bridge, that's when the people moved to Australia.
See, is that kind of with the Tasmanian people?
Because Tasmania right next to Australia. And
they in the Tasmanian devil, and you know what's crazy, because the Tasmanian devil, he looks like an Ewok. That's how the Ewoks actually look.
But the Ewoks was the Wannies.
Yeah. Well, you're right.
And when they made it with the Twa, they lost their hair and became leprechauns and gnomes.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Look, you remember all of those people that Nadaka showed us? The Flugerods, the Deros, the Teros. They was all given a drop of blood to clean up the great debauchery. That's why they're here. They came here as royal families from Indio-controlled systems to offer a drop of their blood to clean up the genetic defect, because it wasn't going to be done in time with just us. Right? So now you see the ones that look like Chewbacca.
Yeah.
What they call Wookiees.
Yep.
When they made it with the humans, they still hairy. They just not as hairy as they was.
That's a fact. And a lot of them used to work with indigenous tribes. In fact, the Yaqui wore the Yeti, or what they call Bigfoot. Bigfoot was actually working in tandem with indigenous people. They used to,
they still do. Bigfoot, you can't catch. The only reason why it's hard to catch Bigfoot is because they can hear you coming by your thoughts before they can hear you coming by your movement. Humans' minds are loud to psychically sensitive beings that talk in telepathy. We won't shut the F up, and they can't stand it. But most people let their mind just do stuff, and they call it thinking, but it's not thinking. The mind is untamed. This Sakuma, monkey mind. Right? And that's what the whole story of the Sun Wukong in Hanuman's journey to the west and Sun Wukong, the 10 Buddhist scrolls, it's the same story.
That's a fact.
It's teaching the person how to tame the monkey mind. When you find somebody who has tamed it, they will label him with a Nagas label. Once he's labeled with a Nagas label, your monkey man can't stop watching for the wisdom. They're using the primitive, native, natural instincts of a monkey. And a monkey can be riding on the elephant back and know where the snake is in the grass when the snake moves off the dirt road or the dirt path. The monkey can still sense where the snake is at because it's his biggest predator. So they don't have to physically see the monkey. I mean, the snake. The monkey know where the snake at after he's seen him the first time.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they got a specific call that the monkey put out, and they call it the serpent call. They alert the other monkeys that it's a serpent in the area. It's a very distinct call. All monkey species have it, except humans. Unless we just forgot how to listen for it. Right? Yeah. Because we all know somebody, when somebody come along and they'll tell you, don't trust so-and-so, he's a snake.
Facts.
Hey, we don't trust him, then now we gonna watch him.
That's a fact.
Because we need to determine if he's a snake. What if the person that told you was the real snake and they lied on somebody? Only observation could distinguish the two in the human form. We got the traits. We mammalian, reptilian hybrids. So we can play both sides from the middle. As long as we don't take sides, we can see both sides.
That's a fact. And have you seen that new movie, Predator Badlands, yet?
No, I haven't seen no new movies in a while. The last new movie I seen was Sinners, and I just seen that recently.
Oh yeah, I forgot you told me that. In the movie, you know, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get the gist of it. In the movie, it really shows you, you know, the emulation of the Enki, Anu, and Enlil story. And they had Thor and they had Dek and Quay. And Dek, he was banished to a prison planet called Planet Jenna. And Jenna, when you get into ancient Hebrew, is the Valley of Hinnom, which is the realm of purification and judgment. So he was banished to a parasitical planet to look for the callus. But the callus in itself was basically the embodiment of dark matter energy. It was a corporeal intelligence that wasn't able to be manipulated unless it was in a cryogenic state. And within the movie, they show Ashtar Command, the Pleiadians, they show the Pleiadian light lock on how they use cryo. My bad. Hold on, my bad, Rod. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We good.
Oh, I shit, my damn screensaver went on, but they were showing you how the catalyst in itself is a non-corporeal intelligence. It's an intelligence that can't be manipulated unless it's in a cryogenic state, and that's how she was able to defeat the catalyst within the movie. Is with what me and you call light code lockdown that's connected to the silver key.
So if you want to know how it works, if you can get that screen back up you just had.
Yeah, I got you. Hold on.
We go into a little bit of the light lock because you're showing the imagery of the mathematical formula.
Mm-hmm. All right. Everybody put the rice bowls in the chat. Put the apes in the chat. All right, let me see. Where is she at? All right, here we go.
Okay, you see that top one on the left? The top one on the left.
Yeah, the Earth magnetic field.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's the Van Allen belt.
Mm-hmm.
You see, if you look at it, you see that it's three major circles.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then you have circles in circles coming from the center of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Concentric circles to the center.
Mm-hmm.
You see it?
Yeah.
Okay, now, pause that thought. The one right under it shows the torsion field that's being used to project these 3 points of convergence in the first one. Because it has to be done inside a torsion field. Right? Now, when you go to the bottom one where it looked like two cells separating, that's what it looked like before you put it around the orb in the middle.
Okay.
When you put it around the orb in the middle, the light is going to flip it to the side. Those two circles are going to come out from the center, you know, just like the top. Right? That's the infinity loop.
Wow.
That trap you in a time space continuum. You relying on time because of this layout. Okay, now the Earth has a natural positive and negative pole, or they call it North and South Pole. you need both poles to project their own individual. What's that? What's the word for that magnetic field called?
Um,
It's a certain name for it. But once it's generated, now by feeding it the light from the sun, the radiation from the sun, it's now self-sustaining. Right now, the Earth and the sun is naturally they gonna follow the laws of nature. At some point, the physical Earth went into a hibernation. Right? It goes into a hibernation to reset. We call this hibernation period the Ice Age, which was a nuclear winter. This Ice Age, then Earth emerges and sends a distress signal to the solar orb at the center in the form of a Schumann blast. The solar orb picks up the frequency, internalizes it, processes it, and sends the Earth back a response. You need to heat up from the inside. Now they calling it global warming.
How about that? Because I agree. Because that's what happens when you have the vibration of dynamo speeding up the plasma vortexes on the planet. So I'm glad you brought up that. The reason I brought this up because it shows you from a neurological standpoint of how this corresponds with, you know, our neurological faculties when you're talking about the movie Predator Badlands, because the monad in itself, when you look at Earth's magnetic field, you got this this dial right here, but the monad in itself represents Najor, and the two hands represents Inky and Enlil. So that's why I was saying, as far as like the movie, the callus was a representation of a form of quintessence that acted as a neuron fibers that brings both hemispheres of the brain together, which is Inky and Enlil. So that's why I was saying, like, everything that corresponds like with consciousness has the ability to manipulate everything that's connected to the magnetic field of Earth, because the magnetic field of Earth is tethered connected to our consciousness to the point where you have solar flares spitting off at 90-degree angles from the galactic plane, which makes you an El or Elohim, because the El is nothing but a 90-degree angle.
Okay, now I'm glad you was able to put it in them terms, because I've been telling people for the longest, stop reading Inky and Enlil as people. Start reading them as a frequency of energy.
Facts.
And people don't get it, but the reason why you read them as a frequency of energy instead of people, because the frequency will pop up in places you didn't expect it to, which shows their signature on our parts of our society. This is how I can tell you, all of these squared off cities has been they've been militarized zones, laid out according to military control measures. That's Enlil. The concentric circles, like those scalar waves coming off the Earth, forming that torsion field, that's Inky will operate in that circle, because the Inky energy is closer to the balance of nature from the masculine. Enlil's energy is the deviation from the laws of nature of the masculine. Right? So you got balanced masculine energy and erratic masculine energy, which is what we're looking at on the right. Right? Two people.
That's yep. Same story. I keep telling people that it's the algorithm. They talking about DNA and neurological upgrades. That's why they had so much damn radiation, solar transmission that was coming to the planet, and everybody was getting headaches. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, pressure in itself makes diamonds. So those solar transmission that's hitting the mind, which is Noah, the arc or flood of consciousness, is going to activate those apatites, those calcites, and those magnetites, and those dendrites. So, like I said, it's a part of the process, because it's one of those things where the year of 2026, which is the year of the fire horse, is going to be the precursor to the great separation between the lamb and the sheep. Well, I mean, the lamb and the goat. And the reason that is because it's a separation of consciousness, because the consciousness in itself, because, they even talk about in the CIA documents, the conscious energy grid. the conscious energy grid is going to manipulate, you know, the electrical.
So, what we call in the 100 monkey effect, right? And then it's called, as we move into the new full swing of the new era, that's the event horizon. Going through the black hole, then you had a point of no return. You can't go back now. You're too far into this game. Right? Now remember, we caught between political satire and Hollywood theater. DC and Hollywood, political satire is fake. The political satire is a play called Plato's Republic, recycled over and over from different types of political applications, from communism to socialism, and none of them don't work. They're not designed to work longer than like 250 years. That's why you keep seeing every 250 years the world powers change.
Yeah, I'm going to show you something. I'm glad you brought that up. I got to bring the slides back up. I'm glad you brought that up because it show. I've been seeing that number 250 a lot. I've been seeing that a lot. All right. Hey, they said I don't look like you. My bad if I don't look like you. I tried my best.
It's close enough.
I try to do what I could.
That's how AI see me.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Where's that 250 at? So they talk about it right here. It's got the birthday cake around it. Because, like I said, it tells a timeline. It's a story.
Well, the 1776 contract was a 200-year contract. But remember, 1812 gave them an extension to 2012. Right now, after 2012 is where the work starts to transition to the new government. So a couple things that they had to do that they did. They had to recognize that 400-year Bible contract. That's the white man's burden. What they call the law of discovery. The doctrine of discovery, the white man's burden. So they did the 400-year recognition in the Senate, the satire. Or Congress, whatever the hell, one of them, Washington, D.C., they passed a vote to recognize the 400-year captivity. Then they did a ceremony. Trump had the Bible upside down in front of a boarded up church. And Nancy Pelosi tore the Bible on the Senate floor, tore it in half, right, on the same day. Republicans and Democrats. So when they did that, that was the end of the Bible contract that was the sacrifice of the first blood of the righteous. Now, they also passed before they passed the UNDRIP on the United Nations floor, and then they passed the United States Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, which says pretty much the same thing. In 2014, I think it was. Right? Then we had the ceremony to stake a totem pole in D.C. to reclaim the land from the Salvage Authority. The Salvage Authority was the Crown of England.
That's a fact. Okay,
now, once we did that, we reclaimed that 10 square miles as part of tribal territory. According to the Indigenous Rights Act of the United States and the United Nations, the indigenous people have a right to govern all indigenous land. Show me some that ain't.
Exactly.
So now they didn't recognize us, but it's only one way to secure recognition: oral tradition. Both documents talk about the oral tradition. And it's not a coincidence that one is in the 13th chapter of the UNDRIP and the other one is in the 31st chapter of the UNDRIP. And then it's in something similar in the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People. Right? 13 is the Queen Mother Seal. 31 is the mirror flip. So on both sides.
Damn, I'm glad you brought that up because somebody in the chat, they said that July 4th of 2026 is 250 years. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So it was supposed to end, the contract was supposed to end it in 1976 at the bicentennial celebration. Because of the War 1812 and they got an extension. This is why in the Fall of America, Elijah Muhammad said the devil got an extension. Nobody know what he was talking about. How the hell did the devil get an extension? Because we took their ass back to war. They telling us that the War 1812 was something other than an indigenous uprising. That's not, it was exactly an indigenous uprising. We rose up and decided to take the land back and broke the treaty. So it reset the treaty. Started them all over for 200 years. And this is why you had Martin Luther King doing nonviolent protests. The protest was not to overthrow the government, undermine the government. It was to wake the people up to the fact that we don't need the government.
Facts.
They're not here for us. They have nothing to do with us, and they don't care about us.
So, you want to get into some questions from the chat?
Let's go.
Yeah. I'm gonna put up some questions for you because I don't want to, overextend your time. I would like to be respectful of other people's time. Yeah.
But me and you can overload people with information and they leave with a headache.
I know, right? Yeah, hit ride, with some questions, something, that's basically corresponding with the timeline that's taking place right now. So we're going to get into, let me see, we got some super chats. All right.
Somebody asked about the government buyback program for the old money.
Oh.
The banks have to collapse first.
Hold on, let me fix your cash out real quick. Yeah. There we go. So everybody, in the chat, showed, the master teacher, show him some veneration.
Master tutor.
I heard that.
Now the kind of master teacher. Ain't nobody put out that much information.
Yeah, but you don't want on the land right now. That's why I said you gotta be one. We gotta be on some book.
As long as we breathing, can't nobody hold the title master teacher.
You said what?
As long as he breathing, can't nobody hold his title. He own that shit.
Yeah, we gotta,
I'm cool with being a tutor.
Okay.
Because all I'm doing is just rehashing what all of the teachers before me taught. Pointing out hey, did y'all notice this part of it? Let me show you what it means. Right? So that's all we doing. Tutoring the public on what we already learned.
Yeah, but you add more pieces to the puzzle though. You know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of like it's more updated information because a lot of people don't even understand what's going on right now.
That's for the foundation that the ones before us laid.
Oh yeah, salute the new diamonds in the chat.
Thank you,
okay, so this is what it says from Cool and So 88. If they broke the treaty, why would we go back to honoring the treaty?
That's the only treaty that they ever said we broke. All the ones they broke, we still honored them, trying to get out of the 200-year oppression. There was a ceasefire, but they still was using cheat codes like assassinations and murder. They weren't supposed to do that. And we weren't supposed to do it to them. We were supposed to educate ourselves above the condition. If once you educate yourself above the condition can no longer hold you captive. And there was only a handful of us in the last, since Noble Drew Ali, that was really lifting the consciousness that wasn't in it for selfish gain. Everybody that was in it for selfish gain set us back. It was too many greedy SOBs in the game for us to really get somebody who didn't care to sell us out. Right? Like your money don't mean nothing to me when I know that the value of my birthright is way greater than any money you can offer me. So I don't care about your money. I appreciate, people who send their donations and everything, but I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this to unlock our birthright.
Mm.
And only by following the oral tradition of the greatest of the tribes, putting the information in the public domain so that as many tribes people as possible can access the information and utilize the information to wake each other up. Right? Then we're doing our part. There's so many people that get they do stuff for money.
Mm-hmm.
So money is their motivator.
Mm-hmm.
And when money is your motivator, you can be bought.
Mm-hmm.
But when love is your motivator, it ain't enough money to buy the real love. You can only buy fake love with money.
That's a fact.
And that have a life limit to it. Ask any divorced athlete, NFL, NBA. Buying love, it's got a lifespan. When you buy love, it can only last for so long before it fall apart naturally because it's not true.
Shit, and that's why in 2025, the vast majority of relationships, they only last for 30 damn minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's built on, material order. That's why I keep telling people, man, if you don't have a mental connection, because the mental connection in itself, that's how you combat the negative forces right there. Neo, he wasn't able to escape the matrix until he had a divine feminine energy on his team. So it has to be a balance of energies. So that's why I keep telling people, man, like, that's the only way, to beat the system in itself is, going through
Now, you got a kicker since you brought Neo and Trinity up. She a female. They named her Trinity. But they named Neo, which is the anagram for one, an anagram for eon, the age. Mm. So in order for a Trinity to be Trinity, she got to be the rightful heir.
Right.
And now, what does she have to do in order to get her throne? She have to find her champion.
Mm-hmm.
So Big Mama got to find her son that's doing the work, that got all of the skills. Nobody's using them. He just sitting on the bench. She going to draft him to her team and he going to start in the game. When you go in there and you tell him what you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So Morpheus, which is the dual name, Morpheus is the god of dreams. Orpheus is the god of dreams. Morpheus is the god of transformation.
Mm.
Morpheus is Orpheus with an M on the front. Orpheus can't be Morpheus without Mama because he can't get the M.
That's a fact.
So he can't go from Orpheus the dreamer to Morpheus the mystic without Mama saying, "Okay, baby, it's your turn. Get out there and do your thing." Then he go from Orpheus to Morpheus.
Because the M is actually a 3, but it also represents Trinity.
Right. Yeah. It's a 3 on his side. But the 3 is the M on his side, actually.
Yeah. So
because the M has always been the symbol for the mother, which is also the Masonic symbol of the apron. And we know that men don't wear aprons.
That's a fact. And you know what's crazy?
We know all these cross-dressing priests.
Man. And you know what's crazy though? I'm glad you brought up that 3 because at 3 it corresponds with the mind in itself, which is connected to the neocortex. So that, you know what I'm saying? Like they throw all them damn symbols in that movie for a reason.
Well, you got 3 parts to the brain. You got the reptilian brain, the old mammal brain, and the new mammal brain.
Yep.
The new mammal brain is called what? The neocortex.
Yep.
The new cortex.
Mm.
And Neo is the one.
So that means you have to master your animalistic self.
Sako Mao, your monkey man.
Hey, you know what's crazy? What if you was looking, if the movie Matrix had an equation, it would actually be the pi equation, wouldn't it? 3.14, because 3, Trinity, 1 represents the life force that you have to resurrect it in order to tap into those, what they call the Ark of the Covenant, the pituitary, hypothalamus, pineal gland, tachyon energy. And then the 4 represents that balance, that foundation. So like I said, all of it, pretty much corresponds, but people just got to look at the numerical sequence and how it lines up with prophecy.
And to tie into what you just said, the 3.14 being pi, which is the man standing on his post. You can see the perimeters of the circle, right?
Oh, okay.
And the three sisters flip, because the point means flip, one man in order to make a four-corner shuffle. That's so the genetic equation is 3x flip 1y to 4x's. Somebody discovered an unknown variable. So the 4 represents the four-corner shuffle, which is the genetic shuffle, the moving around of the DNA on the four corners of the X chromosome. The Y chromosome will fit in any one of them as an unknown variable until it's been activated as an X-Man.
And you know what's crazy? I'm glad you brought that up, because that four-corner shuffle can also correspond with the fire horse, which is the great purification symbol, which we're talking about the red horseman, because the four horsemen is a representation of the four basic elements, which corresponds with the one. The one actually is a representation of the quintessence that collaborates with those four basic elements. So that's when you get the what we call the Christ energy. So I'm actually breaking it down, the numerical sequence of pi backwards, because it actually tells you the whole story. The four horsemen, the one that reaches the Trinity principle within the Christ energy within yourself, which is a form of mind science technology.
Okay, now let's take it to the streets and how it applies to the tribes.
Okay.
The 4 represents the Vice Lord Nation, whose original colors was black and gold. But when they alliance under the 5, they also wear red. Right? So it's the unification of the Peace Stone Nation and the Vice Lord Nation that comes across as the four-corner shuffle or the four-corner hustle.
Yeah.
Then you have the 4 horses of the apocalypse you brought up. Right? Which also is a whole other thing, because it started off with the white horse being where? You remember about 5 years ago where the white horse was at? In photographs?
Beyonce.
Nope, not Beyonce. You remember Lauren London and Nipsey Hussle?
Yep.
Where did the white horse end up at? They just gave it to the Pope.
Wow, okay.
Okay, now, everybody keep calling the white horse the pale horse, and they're not the same horse.
Exactly.
The pale horse carries death. But the one on the white horse, went about conquering and to conquer, and was given to power to conquer. Right? And then what did the black horse? Came with the scales in one hand and the food in the other hand, the wheats and whey. Right? So it's balance on one hand to feed the people on the other hand. Now the black horse comes back again at the end. It's only one of them that comes back at the end. Because while the other 3 horses, the red horse was given the power to start war and to wage war. That's Angel Bay, who just so happened to be in the hospital right now. Everybody sent positive energy to Chief Malik Angel Bay, Jeff Ford, who passed out at ADX, and they rushed him to the hospital. We don't know anything about his condition. We're waiting to hear from either the Bureau of Prisons or his family to give us any updates. So we don't have no updates on him, and we're concerned because he ain't supposed to even be there. Political prisoner. He was the red horse. The blue horse, Lucifer, is not in the book. The question is why?
Yeah, why is that? Why? What's the word on that?
And so that means that the blue horse is something that came about after the Bible concepts was developed. So it came about as a different concept. The blue